Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Modded with myself, Lewis. I hope you're all very well, and welcome back to my amazing 1.4.7 modded world. And this is going to lead on to the first question of the day. Oh yeah, the first one is going to be, I now have a fully working 1.5.2 version of this mod pack, but the big question is, I would have to restart a world if I was to use it, because the way that 1.4 and 1.5 work will not correspond properly with just a complete world swap of the mods. That is not going to happen, and there was also way too many IDs that have been resolved between 1.4 and 1.5 of the mods that I'm using. So it would mean a full world reset. Now, would you guys want me to do that? Because we've already started on this world, so would you want me to jump to that new world, kind of rebuild as far as we've got up to, and then carry on using 1.5? Or would you like me to restart entirely? It's pretty much your decision, purely because, you know, I'd just be making the same thing again if I restarted the world again. There's not really any new mods, it's just new bits that have been added and new features and changes and whatnot. So there is some cool stuff to show off, but I don't want to start from fresh again unless you guys want me to, as it will just be a bit monotonous watching me do the same thing all over again for the first couple of episodes, and we've done that a couple of times in a row now, and I don't really want to be doing that again. So would you like me to redo everything? Would you like me to get myself up to this stage after this episode and then release the next one as a 1.5.2? Just bear in mind the world won't look exactly the same, purely because the world gen's a little bit different and the way the world seeds work is completely different, and also I probably wouldn't be able to rebuild all this if I tried again because it was kind of on the fly. So yeah, you guys decide and let me know. Now, as far as today, we've got a few things we need to do. You can see I've changed everything around a little bit, so I've spent a bit of time just making this guy here, and this is going to be our machine room. Well, kind of a makeshift machine room. So we've got some very nice things in here. I've only just moved stuff over, I haven't actually made anything new. We've got some good place down here for all our storage, so I've kind of put it in a nice order. I like having all my stuff in order, and I'll put these next. I was playing with these earlier. We've got pipes, we've got red stuff, we've got IC2 stuff, we've got mob drops, we have magical stuff, we've got other mod stuff, and we've got random. So yeah, nice. It's just a nice way of keeping it all going. And we've got some nice ores and whatnot and bits and bobs, so I'm having a good time on here. Now, as far as today is concerned, I want to do a couple of things. The first thing I want to do is gather the materials that I need to try and make this guy here look a little bit nicer than a big giant cobblestone block, because that looks horrible, doesn't it? Like, I think the layout's nice, but I think the way actually the decor, if you could, the feng shui in here just is not up to standard. It's not up to Minecraft standard. It's not up to someone of my standard. It's just not acceptable. So I want to go around and start trying to make this place look a little bit nicer. Maybe build it a bit bigger and whatnot. I've also decided this is going to be our magic area inside here. So I've laid down some of our Ars Magica stuff in our Soul Forge, and I filled this with a few bits of Ars Magica gizmos. So this is going to be our Ars Magica area. We'll have kind of Mystcraft and whatnot around, and I'm thinking in here I'm going to move these guys over into the main area over there, and this can be an enchanting area because it's just about the right size as well, so it should kind of work. Now, with my trees as well, I did manage to get myself some of the lime trees that we was talking about. These guys here, some limes, very nice. And we got the apple oaks just here. I did go ahead and make myself one of these guys, a tree analyzer, and I analysed some of my trees. You can see here, they've already been analysed. So I was quite lucky to get those. I've only really just planted them, so we're just waiting for something to actually happen, and that's going to take some time. The bees are still circulating around as well, nothing's really changed there. I do really need to get onto these because they're just starting to stack up massively now. See, we've got 28 of the same one in here, so it's just kind of... I don't think I even need Ancient Queens. I've kind of just left them and haven't played with them because I don't really understand them too well. But I've got a good idea now, but it's not what I want to go into on this episode. So, like I said, we're going to get some nice materials for inside here, and I'm thinking gold is a wicked material, but gold is, gold, you know, you don't want to go making everything out of gold, that's expensive. So how about we made something that looks like gold, that isn't as expensive as gold, and I think that is a brilliant idea. Gonna have a little bite to eat though, because I'm getting a bit hungry, and it's probably midday, so it's time for some brunch. Now, we're going to go over here, and we're going to knock this tree down. Well, we're going to try. And hopefully, just hopefully, we're going to get ourselves some saplings. That's what I want. Just want some regular oak saplings. And I could do with 3 of these guys. Oh, there would be our first. and we need a couple more. Now the reason for this is while I was in the Twilight Forest I found a very cool amount of things, but one of the things that I did find is some world gem from a mod that we haven't explored. Well, we've never explored it, and it's quite a long lasting mod. It takes a bit of time to work your way through it, kind of a little bit monotonous in the way that you have to actually kind of use some of the items. That'll do, pig. But it takes a bit of time to get used to it, but once you're used to it, it's easy, really easy, and there are some really cool things. One could be flying. Think about that, flying without having to make a gravitational, or going into the gravitational chest plates and things like that. So almost cheating, but I would say it takes just as long to get yourself to that level as it would with building the stuff, so yeah. Now, oak saplings. So we're going to pop them in here. So I've made these very nice kind of little casks that we're gonna use. You know, you don't have to do this, but I thought I'd add a touch. You know, a touch of Lewis, touching Lewis. Yeah, just around here. Look at it. This is probably the prettiest you're ever going to see something. Probably, maybe that is prettier than anything I've ever made. You know, a square box made out of stone bricks, and these bricks here. This is about as far as it's going to go. And the lights. These, I was here for ages, walking around thinking, should I put them here, should I put them here, I'm just not cut out for this Minecraft business. That's why I've gone and thrown myself on a desert island on my other series, hoping that it'll get me up to scratch for 1.6, when I really get into the whole Madland server of doing vanilla-y stuff and gizmos, and doing big challenges and whatnot, and making skyscrapers. That's always fun. So, what do we need? These guys, force gems. So I found these force gems, and these are a part of Dartcraft, and Dartcraft is pretty cool. So with these force gems, we need to, well, you can do a couple of things with force gems, but we're going to do something specific first, and then we'll work our way through it. We're going to get about, I don't know, we'll get to the kind of starting area of Dartcraft. Then we'll leave it and we'll come back to it at another point, because like I say, it's a bit kind of it takes time to do all the stuff that Dartcraft has. But we're just gonna use our powered furnace with these guys, get a bit of power, and we'll get some red zycorodite. And we want a fair amount of red zycorodite. We'll probably use all of these. So let's get these guys pumping. Nice. And what we can do with these guys, if we take these and go into our minium stone and put these like this and this guy like this, we get 3 force ingots. See, very nice. Now there are different ways of making this. You can do this with iron, you can do it with bronze, whatnot. Note as well with bronze though and iron that you only get 2 of the force ingots. Let's have a look down here. This goes the same for silver, refined iron, you'll then get 3. But the best thing I found is use zycorodite. If you use like zycorodite, you get 3. And you know, zycorodite, geez, everyone has zycorodite. If you don't have zycorodite, what have you been doing in your life? Even if you don't want zycorodite, you've got zycorodite. So, alright, so we'll throw these guys in here. And throw this in here, and bam, we have 15 force ingots. Now, if we put a force ingot in here, we get, voila, force nuggets. Very nice. Now, with our force nuggets, we need to go ahead and do something with these guys. So I'm going to take a little bit of wood from here, and we're going to turn this guy into some sticks. Boom. Just like that. And with these sticks, we're going to go into our minium stone. We're going to put one just here. We'll put an ingot and a nugget, giving us a force rod. Now, you can see the force rod itself only has a couple of charges. I think 3. 3 is the maximum that you'll get off one force rod. But don't worry, we can upgrade the force rod, but we need to make something first. And what we're about to make now is going to be the basis to all of the things that I'm going to make, probably for the floor. So before these trees grow, we'll run up our force rod, and bam. Oh, what is that? Does that look like a golden tree? I think you'll find that does look like a golden tree. These guys are force trees, and they look gold, but they're not gold. But they're wicked. They are possibly the best trees I've ever seen. And these guys will grow, and they will interact with bone meal. So I've got some bone meal here. Also, when you use up your force rod, you're left with a force shard, and you can use these later on as well. Now, these do interact with bone meal. So if I pop that like that, bam, give us one of these trees. Bam, give us another tree. Look at these guys, how cool are they? And they give a really nice kind of glowing effect here as well. So with these, you can do a number of things. The first thing you can do is you can chop the leaves down, and if you're lucky, you'll get back another sapling. So it works just like any other tree. Please, obviously, don't bear in mind the texture as well, because there is not a Sphax texture for this. It looks a little bit wonky when you beat them up just because of the textures. But another thing you can do with these guys is we can take the wood. And the main reason you'll make these is to take the wood, because the wood has a couple of properties that are quite handy, and you will need these guys to make some of the... Did we just drop another sapling? No. You will need these guys to make the upgraded force rod that isn't always going to explode on you, which is never good. And it's getting a little bit dark, so I think I'm going to have a quick little sleep, and we'll be right back to check out what we can do with our force logs. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do when you get your force logs is put them like this, and this will give you 8 force sticks. Very nice. Now what we can do with force sticks is exactly the same as we did with normal sticks, just like this, but this will give us a force rod fully charged, and this will have absolutely tons of charge in it, so you haven't got to worry about it breaking after 3 goes, which is nice. I mean, that's pretty nice. So once you've got our force rod, we can do a number of things with this guy. The first thing you're going to want to go ahead and do is if we go over here and we grab ourselves some obsidian, and we can do some pretty fancy stuff with this obsidian. So let's have a look in here, shall we? A little bit of obsidian. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop this guy just over here next to our conductive pipes. And I'm doing this for a reason, because if we now right click on this, bam, that turns it into one of these guys. And with this, we can go ahead and do some pretty nifty things. Number one being that we can charge it. So if I go like this, you can see that it's charging. This guy does need Minecraft Joules to run. You can obviously put these conductive pipes directly into it. You can put redstone energy cells into it. You can use pretty much anything that's Buildcraft wise to power this guy, which is always good. With the Dartcraft as well, it does also have its own form of producing power, and that is called the force engine. If I just show you here, it is this guy here, the force engine, which is made with force gears, force ingots. Force gears are stone gears with force ingots around them. So not really that expensive when you think about it, because the force you can find from world gen, which is just force ore, which is lying around, and you can use icorodite to get 3 pieces per force of the force gems, which isn't bad. So, you know, pretty cheap stuff. And the force engines can run off of any type of biofuel and water, or they can run off liquid force. Now liquid force is going to be the thing that we also need to put in this guy, and you can do that in a number of ways. So the first thing, you can just drop force gems in here, and bam, that gives us 1 bucket of liquid force. And liquid force can also be put in cans, buckets, anything like that. It's a forge universal liquid, so it'll be working perfectly fine, just like any type of liquid. You can store it in tanks, Dartcraft tanks, railcraft tanks, anything of that sort, which is always very nice. Now let's go ahead and give this guy a little bit more power, and we're going to do the first thing that we can actually do inside this guy, and I'll try and explain it in the best way possible, because it is a little bit kind of awkward to explain. So we'll stop you. I think you've got enough energy now. Let's go get a book. So we'll grab 1 book, just like voila, and we'll take you and we'll throw you on the floor, because we don't want this book, we want this book. Bam, we want a force tome, and a force tome directly can't do anything, but when we pop the force tome in here like this with a force nugget, you can see that this little go sign has now become active, meaning that we can use something, we can do something with it. Now you have to make sure that you have liquid force and power in there, and if we click go, you're going to see this little guy comes up. We get a nice little transition effect around here, and bam, we have an upgraded tome tier 1. Now this is quite important, because the upgrade tomes allow you to apply more upgrades. What would you apply upgrades to? Well, you apply upgrades to force items. Now in the Dartcraft inventory you get force items, so force swords, force pickaxes, force shovels. Let's go ahead and make a force pickaxe, I think. So we need 2 force sticks and some force ingots, just the same as any other regular pickaxe, except we're using force. So we'll put you like this, and bam, we have a force pickaxe. Very nice. The force pickaxe itself is nothing brilliant. It doesn't really mine very well. It's just like a kind of, I would say it's just as good as an iron pickaxe, maybe a little bit less. But what we can do with these is we can upgrade them. And using this guy here with our upgraded tome, we can add upgrades to these items. So know that if I take the tome out of here, we lose this slot. Put it back, we gain a slot. This means that because we have a tier 1, we gain 1 tier of upgrade. And as the tome upgrades itself, we'll get more of these unlocked to add more upgrades, which is pretty cool. So how do you upgrade your tome? Well, by shift clicking on here, you can see that the next tier is after 96 force points. Currently we have 0 force points. To acquire force points, you have to upgrade things. So basically you have to upgrade stuff to make points to upgrade your tome. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So let's try and upgrade our pickaxe. So how do we upgrade stuff? Well, there are a number of vanilla items that you can find around the world that will work as upgrades, but certain upgrades need certain tier levels for them to actually work. So there are basic ones that you can do. So let's have a look in here, and I'll find something that we can use. Coal, that would do. Coal, brilliant. So if we take coal and put it over here, I'm going to show you this first. If I hover over coal at the minute, all we get is the 4k EU at 10 EU per tick and 3.2k heat. That's it. But if I go in here and hover over it, it just says heat, because heat is the upgrade that can be applied to items inside this infuser. So if we put our pickaxe in here with some of these guys, you can see that this go sign is now active. We can't put any more in here because we only have a tier 1 tome. If we had more, then we had more of these slots active. So let's go ahead and push go and see what happens. So it's doing its thing. It's kind of going all mental. It takes a little bit longer. More of these you put in here, more upgrades you apply, longer this guy's going to take. But bam, we now have a heat pickaxe. Very nice. Now let's have a look at our tome. You can see that we've used 30 force points, and the next tier is in 66 points. Now, when you do an upgrade, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to gain 25 force points, then additional points depending on the items that you upgrade. The additional 25 are for the first time you've used that upgrade. So we've only just used the coal upgrade on this heat pickaxe, thus being it the first, so we would get 25 points. If I did that again on the same pickaxe or on a different pickaxe, we would only acquire the 5 points that we got extra of that. So you need to experiment with your upgrades to try and get through it as quickly as possible. And there are a number of upgrades that you can use to try and get this guy up through the tiers. Tier 2 is when things start getting pretty cool, but that does take a little bit of time to get to that, and you need to know all of the additional items to actually be able to upgrade your items. Now, a heat pickaxe is wicked, and the heat pickaxe can be molded into some pretty cool things when added additional upgrades. But the main gist of it is if you hit it on here, bam, it heats it up and you would get yourself some stone. Very simple, but you know, pretty nice. Quite like it. Just ruined my floor, but that's fine. Now, there are a couple of other things that we can do. If we go ahead and make ourselves, let's make one more pickaxe, shall we? So we'll put you like this, and bam, we have another pickaxe. And I'm going to show you a couple of things which are pretty wicked. So we're going to need to go over to the other base because I'm going to need a couple of things. And I'm going to show you what I mean about not being able to upgrade to tier 2 by trying to upgrade to a tier 2 item. You'll see what it says. It kind of makes sense and it's very simple, but you just need to get your head around how this works. So we'll grab some sugar cane. What else can we use? Sugarcane, gunpowder. Nope, don't want gunpowder. Have we got any flint? I think I've got some flint over here. Let's go have a look at some flint, and we'll eat this. Yummy. So, and one thing you can do as well is you can pop these in here and you get your force wood. Forgot to say that. That's the main reason we've pretty much done this, to get force wood. With force wood, obviously, we're going to make everything down here, and you can use the force wood to make force slabs, force stairs. There's a number of force things you can make, and you can color code your force as well into different colors. So you can have lime green force stairs. You can have orange force stairs. Man, you can have some wicked force stairs. Now, let's have a look at some of the different upgrades that we can do. So, we're going to grab ourselves some flint. Have I got flint in here? I might not have flint. Jeez, no flint. How have we not got flint? Maybe I really haven't got any flint. That's very, very random. I should always have flint somewhere. Maybe it's in my mob drops chest. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, that's not a problem. I'll show you the other upgrade. So if we go over here and we put in this guy, our force pickaxe, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take a sugar cane and turn it into sugar. And if we put this guy in here, you can see that the upgrade is speed. So let's put this in here, ba-bam, ba-bam, and we can now go ahead and go. But the cool thing you can do with this guy is, as we have 2 slots available, if I go over here and we grab another piece of coal, I'm hoping this is going to work, because I haven't tried this with a tier 1. And we go like this. and click go, you can see that it's going to add the two upgrades together. So we can mix and match our upgrades for some pretty cool things, I think. And we've just got enough energy to do this. Bam, we've got a heat pickaxe with speed 1. So this guy's going to go ahead and obviously with the additional speed be a lot faster. There we go. Compared to this guy, who takes his time. He's the slowpoke. But obviously that is not extremely useful, but you know, useful nonetheless. So as you go up tiers, there's going to be multiple things that you can do. Now with the heat pickaxes, you can go ahead and use it on ore. Now when you mine ore with a heat pickaxe, you automatically get the smelted ore. So you get, if you did it with iron, you'd get 1 iron block, and so on with the ores that are available. But you have to bear in mind, which I got off Darth 20 Spotlight for this actually, which makes a lot of sense. If you do that, well, what's the point? Because normally you're going to get your ores from grinding them up and then or macerating them and putting them in a furnace, doubling your ore output. Now, the reason I wanted flint is because if you put flint inside this guy, this gives you the grinding upgrade. And the grinding turns it into its grinded produce. So if you used it on ore, you would get yourself some grinded ore, which would be like macerated or pulverized ore. But if you add that with the heat upgrade, you'll then get the double ores, which is wicked. So think of that, just going, grabbing yourself some ore, and instead of mining just a block of ore, you mine 2 ingots. That is amazing. Pretty nice, right? Now, if we go over here, you can see that we've got 65 force points and our next tier is 31. So we're pretty much already there, very close to tier 2. And once we get to tier 2, we can start doing some pretty nifty things. Now, as far as the liquid force goes, force gems do take a bit of time to find, and they can be hard to find as well. The main reason for this is I added Dartcraft as a secondary mod on this after I generated the world, so it means that around this area where I've explored there is no force at all. There is no force ore to be found. I was quite lucky that I found it in a chest in the Twilight Forest. So there are a few ways that you can get the force. You can get the force, amazing. The one way of doing this is you can put force logs into a squeezer. If you put those into a forestry squeezer, you'll get a small amount of liquid force, and that can be used inside your upgrader over there, and so forth to make all of your upgrades, which is pretty nice. It's a nice way of doing it. It means that you haven't got to get the force gems to do that. Just obviously you do need the force gems though to make the ingots, which some of these guys need, so it does take a bit of time, but you know, that's all good. It's all good in the hood, and you can see that all of our stuff here is growing very nicely. Wicked. Once you've got a ton of these, we can go ahead and deck the floors with all these gold looking blocks, and I think it's going to look pretty awesome. And you can also use those guys in the forestry multi-block structures as well, and the arbitrariums and all that sort of stuff, which is very nice. So I'm going to have a quick sleep, and we'll be back to do the last part of today's episode. Alright, so the last thing that I want to go ahead and do is I want to easily combat the way of or the way that we're not getting all the newly generated ores. So I could just run in one direction for a long time to get newly generated chunks, and the ores may or possibly be present in those areas, but there is a much easier way of doing this, and this is using one of the other mods that I generally don't really go into because I don't really find much of a use for it. But I think in this playthrough we're gonna really need it, purely because of the new ore generation, and it's gonna make it a lot easier for finding ores, and if we do it properly, we'll get an absolute ass ton of lava as well, which is very nice. So we're going to use Mystcraft, and Mystcraft is a wicked way of generating new worlds, or dimensions, or however you want to put it, ages. There's many ways of putting it. So to do this, we're going to need to grab ourselves a binder. That's going to be the first thing we're going to need. One of these guys, a bookbinder. And to do this, we need ourselves some planks, and we need some iron. Pretty simple, right? So let's go over and grab ourselves some of these guys. Oh, here we go. So, iron. Nice. We need books, and we need a lot of books, so we'll take all of my paper, we'll take all my books, I'll take half my books I think, we'll take leather, why not? So we got those guys, and we need some wood. There we go. So let's go ahead and make this guy like this, and we'll put our iron across the top, and bam, giving us a bookbinder. Pretty nice. Now I'm thinking I'm going to put this inside our magic area, because Mystcraft is very magical indeed. It's pretty cool as well, the stuff that you can do with this guy, and since the updates have come out, it's changed quite a bit from the last time I really played with it. I did do a lot of stuff off-world with this in my test world, so I do have a pretty good understanding of this, so we should be good. Now, if we put some leather inside here with a bit of paper, bam, automatically gives us a descriptive book, which is a lot easier than having to use a feather in a regular book. Well, maybe it's not, but, you know, it saves you having to use a book all the time. So we use a descriptive book, bam, and that will randomly generate an age for us. Now, if we go ahead and take our regular book, we'll give ourselves a linking book, and we're going to take two of these guys, one to be safe and one to be extra safe, because the worst thing you want to do is get caught with your pants down in a Mystcraft age, because there are very, very limited ways of getting back. There's a number of things you can do, though. So if you're on a server, you can get whoever's opt to teleport you back. Bit of a cheaty way of doing it. The only legit way I know of actually getting your way out of a Mystcraft age, which I've had to do once, is make a Twilight Forest portal. Because Nether portals are disabled in Twilight Forest. Now, they won't light, but Twilight Forest portals will. So if you can get a Twilight Forest portal made, you may stand a chance of finding your way back to your original portal. That is if you've made a Twilight Forest portal in your overworld. So note to self, if you're playing Feed the Beast and you make yourself a Twilight Forest portal, get in a good habit of when you spawn in the Twilight Forest to put down a marker saying where it is. So that way, if you ever get caught in one of these ages, you stand a very slim but decent chance, I guess, of making your way back to the overworld. Kind of gives you one way of doing it. But to be extra safe, just bring yourself some linking books. It's not hard to remember some linking books. So let's go ahead and check out this age. So this is a descriptive book for age 4. And I think what I'm going to do before we go is I'm just going to deposit some of my goods, because we don't need all these guys while we're there. So maybe we need some sticks and some spruce wood, but we definitely don't need our logs and all this sort of stuff. And our books, we don't need any of that. So we'll put you guys in there, put you guys in here, because we just don't need you guys when we're there. There we go, very nice. Alright, so this will be age 4 coming up. Alright, so this is probably the worst age I've ever got the first time around. What have we got? Mining fatigue free, hunger free. This is possibly, yeah, we're just going to forget about this age. Yeah, let's forget about that age. Let's destroy this one, because that is an evil age. You evil age. There we go. I'm still suffering from my mining fatigue. That is horrific. So normally you'll get much better ages than that. Unfortunately, I got a pretty nasty age. Now, if you guys don't know anything at all about Mystcraft, Mystcraft generates ages. And within ages, there are certain properties. And basically, think of it this way. So you can have lightning, you can have charged areas, you can have areas that are corrupted, you can have areas that give you mining fatigue, areas that give you slowness, areas that give you hunger, they're absolutely tons. Ones can give you nausea, which is depressing, and oh my god, we've got one of those things. Oh, these guys are meant to make our cherry hill saplings, so this is what I'm waiting for, and that could be one there, you never know. But yes, you get all of these aspects inside the dimensions that you create. Now, within the dimensions, you have the chance of spawning a world gen, which is added only via Mystcraft and Mystcraft Ages, which are like kind of structures that you can go in, and it has a nice little library in there full of pages. Now, these pages have symbols on them, and the symbols will apply aspects that you can apply to new worlds. So you could find the flat world aspect, you could find the charged world aspect, you could find the dense ores aspect, which is very nice. And with these aspects you can go and write your own descriptive book. So a little bit different from the old Mystcraft that you guys might be used to, where you had the generation yourself. It was a lot easier to make it. With this, you actually have to go out and pretty much like Pokemon, go and collect them all to make the perfect age. And age generation in this has also changed slightly, that the ages have to basically make sense. So, it sounds a bit weird, right? But if you make an age that's, say we put an age that is always nighttime, with checkered biomes, with snow biomes, with dense ores, with a lava age. So that doesn't really make any sense, does it? Because that it would look silly. Why would you put a lava age if you want regular, if you want checkered biomes? Because that would mess it up and be weird. Dense ores is pretty much like the ultimate age, because it gives you massive amounts of ores. That would just be a really weird age. And we'll put like constant day in there as well, just to chuck one in there, and that'll make it even weird. That would give you an absolute ton of nil effects. So you'd get fatigue, you'd get all the horrible things happening to you, because the age doesn't make sense. So if you wanted to make an age that is stable, then you need to make an age that makes sense. So if we had an age and we said it had 1 moon and 1 sun, well, that makes sense, right? And if we had normal biomes, because normal biomes is, well, that's normal biomes. We had caves, caverns, why not? The world has caves and caverns. The more normal you can make your age to the overworld, the less chance you stand of getting any nil effects. Once you start mixing it up a little bit, you'll get nil effects. Some nil effects aren't that bad and some you can deal with, so you've got to bear in mind that obviously they give you the pages for dense ores and you're going to want to eventually use them, but don't go over the top with your ages. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't go over the top. If you go over the top, you're going to get lots of nil effects and it will just make your time very horrible in the ages that you create. So let's go ahead and try making another age, because I want to try and find a decent age where we can find some of these really cool world gen structures. Where did I put my books? There we go. I always like to keep 2 on me just in case I find a good world. So let's try this one. This is age 5. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about. So I've had to go through a couple of ages to get to this place, because every time I spawned on just a regular block with nothing around me. Now, you can see here that there are a lot of enemies around here, which could obviously represent that this is probably a constant night biome, or a constant night biome. And we've just looked at an Enderman, so let's run! Now, inside here is exactly what I was talking about, and we're quite lucky that inside here, right behind where we spawned on this structure here, is exactly what we wanted. One of these guys. A nice room in here. And there's an Enderman outside going ballistic, so we're going to pretend he's not there. Hopefully he'll get bored and go away. Is he kind of hiding outside? Mr. Enderman. Oh my god, he's actually down there. And it's an Ender Tot, which is never good. No one likes Ender Tots. I do not want to challenge one of those, because apparently something very bad happens if you challenge an Ender Tot, so we're just going to leave them alone. They're actually a part of Dartcraft as well. But these are what we're looking for, these guys here, which are pages. This gives us the page for the wasteland biome. This guy here gives us the page for the mountain taiga biome. This guy here gives us the page for the minor feature biome. Nice. Now, not really too much variation on actually making a world there, so they're not really the best ones. But you can find in the corner of these rooms sometimes these little extra chests, which give us some cool things. So, minor feature biome, which I think we already have. Yeah. Another one. Cloud colour, nice, and noon. There we go. So a noon would make sense because worlds have noon, so that's kind of the most useful one we've got here. Let's see if we've got anything over here. Nope. Nope. And no, but we'll take the books. Why not? And I'm going to take these guys as well. So on these you can place books, which is quite nice, and you can place your pages that you found. Just a kind of a nice thing to put around your house. These guys here, the lecterns. So we have found our first one of these structures. Pretty cool, right? And a decent way to find books as well. Now, let's go back to the overworld. Bam. There we go. So, a couple of trips into different ages, and we finally found a kind of acceptable age. It didn't look like there was any nil effects there, just as it was a constant night biome, I'm guessing, the chances are, I'm going to take this age with me actually, the chances are that that was going to be a very hostile world, and not one that I really want to be running around too much in, but luckily we had that spawn right behind us. So let's go ahead and make one of these guys a book stand. And I'm going to throw this age on this book stand purely for the reason that maybe when we get a little bit more powerful, we can go there and run around and not die continuously. And hopefully there'll be more of the world gen there for finding more of these pages. And you know, it just takes time to find all the pages, but once you get a good amount of these, you can go making a pretty decent age, I think. Pretty good age, which is definitely what we want to do. Purely because we want to make an age that's brilliant for mining and finding all the additional world gen that will be implemented specifically for Dartcraft and all those type of things, so we can get more force, because without these guys, or with these guys that we've got here, the force gem, I have one left and that is all I have left, and without going absolutely miles to try and find more, it's just not really going to be worth it. So there we go, that is pretty much that. Oh, we got another 2 there, nice. Should we have a look? I think we're going to have a look. I think we're going to finish the episode by trying to find out what we've got. I need to go get myself some brass, I believe. We're going to make a grafter, because the one I have in the box only has 1 use left, and a lot of you guys were very nice in letting me know that if you use... yeah, we need bronze, there we go. If we use a grafter that only has one use left, it will break the grafter, and you won't actually get sapling, which is totally pointless. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Let's have a look, see what we got. We've actually got 3 that are done. Nice. So let's have a look here. So that guy is an apple oak. So not really what I wanted. I'm guessing as it's a hill cherry one, it's going to, what's that? Silver lime again. And silver lime again. Okay. So not really what I've been looking for. What's this guy? Silver lime, apple oak. Yeah. Not really the ooh, actually doing quite, hey, is that what I think it is? Hey, we got a hill cherry. Wicked. Oh, I did that thing again. I got excited. Let's go throw this guy inside our tree analyzer and have a look what we got, shall we? This is probably going to overrun the episode a little bit, but oh well. So we got honey drops in there, so let's have a look. So hill cherry, saplings normal, matures fast, brilliant, height small, always good, yield is normal, which is not bad, you know, sappiness is highest, that's really good, growth, native, plains, prunes, poms, cherry poms, possible produce, very nice, cherries. This is actually a really good cherry tree, I think. Could do with the speed being a little bit better. Let's have a look. Yeah, the yield could have been a little bit nicer so we can get more of these off it, but you know, that is possibly the best thing we could have got from all of this, and I'm going to plan it. I'm going to do this. Let's go get some bone meal. We're going to do this. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure I might have a little bit of bone meal in here, maybe. What have we got? String. I can't see any bone meal in there. Bones. There we go. So I'll put you in here. Bam. 15 of these guys. You know, I don't even care where I'm going to put it. I'm so excited right now. I've been waiting for these cherries for so long. Literally since we started, I've been waiting for these cherries, and we finally got some. And we can go ahead and get more saplings off of this cherry tree, which is sweet. And I don't really know what will happen if they mix with these guys, because I haven't looked that far, but hopefully it'll be something nice. So we'll put you here, I think. Kapow. Nice. Hill cherry. And if we go ahead and do this, we can actually go ahead and do this as well. Nice. And these guys will drop cherries, which is pretty wicked. So we can go around and obviously make sure that we can ripen our cherries instantly like this with our bone meal. But it takes a little bit of time for your cherries to drop. The best thing you can do with these guys is throw them inside one of the multi-block forestry structures and have the forestry block do it that way, and that will collect all of the fruits for you. The main reason we want our cherries is because cherries have a very good sappiness when it comes to putting them inside a inside one of the forestry machines so that we can get biofuel, which is excellent. And there's also a couple of other things we can do with cherries as well, but they're a very good source of power, generally because of their sappiness. And as we have a high sappiness, that is an even better thing. So, you know, I think we're winning right here. I think we're on for a win, and I definitely want to keep as many of these as I can. And hopefully, if we get some of the saplings out of this, we might stand a high chance of getting one that has a high yield instead of a normal yield, because that would pretty much be the perfect cherry sapling that I've got there. Perfect cherry sapling, but you know, time will tell. Alright guys, so I think that is that for this episode. We've got our forest logs over there, which are growing very nicely. Eventually we'll get into the forestry blocks and make a big farm of these guys. We finally got our cherry tree, and I got it on camera in one take. That is insane. I'm really happy about that. I'm stoked that that's actually happened. Love it. We're starting to get more into the mods now, which is quite nice. We've gone through most of the magic mods, so I think in the next couple of episodes it might be time for us to start moving on now to some of the technical mods to do with machinery, because that is really the next step that we haven't taken yet. So we'll start looking more into thermal expansion, we'll start looking more into IC2 and GregTech. Obviously GregTech's on hard mode, so that means that it's going to implement some of the IC2 recipes and change them depending on what we're actually going to be using them for. And we're going to try and look at some automation ways of just making our life a little bit easier, I think, because if you're going to play Feed the Beast or your own mod pack or whatever you're going to play, the best thing you can do is try and automate things to make your life a lot easier. That's really the kind of idea behind it. If you had all the mods installed and you just made all the stuff, well, that's too easy, isn't it? Oh, nice. One of our things grew as well. Perfect. Okay guys, and remember the question of the day. I have the 1.5.2 pack ready to go. Would you like me to restart? Would you like me to try and rebuild as much of this as I can? It won't, like I say, it won't look anything like this because I can't copy it over. An MC edit, which I tried to do, kind of had a moment because of the ID codes that I've actually changed in the 1.5.2. They don't match up, and it gives me a massive like frame kill down to like 2 frames a second, but don't even know why. But if I get rid of the MC edited area, my frame rate shoots back up to 300 FPS. So yeah, a bit weird, but I'll leave that in your hands, and you can decide what you want to do with it. Alright guys, I'll see you soon for another episode. Have a good one, and goodbye.